Hello everyone, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and on this Friday of Azure Restock Update, we got a notification that says the Hunters are going to win Guardian games. So if anyone else knew that it was rigged, guess what? You were probably accurate. Just wait until Hunters win this year anyways. Besides that, we have, of course, Zur right here to go through, and he's got a fair number of useful things to go for you. On the first, for Catalyst, we have the Merciless Catalyst, which at its base is just a range and stability upgrade. Usually, I would denounce this as pretty just meh. However, Merciless, once it gets charged up and it is rapid firing, it could be pretty handy to have a little bit of extra stability when you have essentially a fully automatic fusion rifle. Thinking back to old Pocket Infinity. On that same note, I would say get it, in case you're thinking about using some fusion rifle Merciless in this day and age of particle deconstruction. But the next one I would say is the one that probably should go a little bit higher than that, and that is the Izanagi's Burden Catalyst. Essentially, it is just more damage. The Catalyst, what it does is essentially once you do a full reload or condensing of 4 bullets into one, it increases the damage of that mega bullet, which prospectively is only better because there's no reason to do anything less than 4 rounds unless just for some reason you want a little bit extra damage and not a lot, which typically you don't. So I would wholeheartedly recommend this one to anyone looking for some extra gear or some extra power to their, firepower. Next, in terms of exotic armors, starting with Stompies, it is basically just movement to the exotic and one of those ones that I feel like should be way less popular. In general, it increases your sprint speed, slide distance, and improves all of the hunter jumps to basically just be more effective. You also take less damage from targets while airborne. They have buffed this so it's a little more PvE relevant, but in the end of the day, this is the thing that is just constantly used in PvP because apparently movement is how you are better at the game. So, just that's how it goes most of the time. Aside from that, it's basically just the I can't jump on a hunter, or there's one really long jump that for some reason hunters were just not made to pass. The next one is the Heart of Inmost Light, which is basically ability spam the exotic. In the form of using an ability, aka the grenade, melee, or barricade, the other abilities are empowered. Empowering means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, but the barricades themselves have more health. This kind of idea is more, also present on the exotic class item version of this perk, just excluding the bonus damage and health. It is more so just based on ability regen. Wholeheartedly, if you have no idea what exotics to use on a build, and there's any sort of basis regarding needing abilities, this is kind of the baseline for use in any Titan build. The next is the Starfire Protocol, which is basically Fusion Grenade, the exotic, making it so that fusion grenades have an additional charge, you hold more than one at one time, and they recharge from empowered weapon damage. With empowered weapon final blows granting more energy, while defeating targets with fusion grenades grants you rift energy. So the way it works is you throw a fusion grenade on a target, kill it, next thing you know, you get more empowered rift energy, you put down an empowered rift, then you use weapon damage, and next thing you know, you're recharging more of your grenades. It's kind of the function of why ages ago, I forget which season in particular, but why Starfire Protocol for a time was the main key to melting bosses in any sort of endgame content. I would wholeheartedly recommend this if you're looking for a decent damage rotation or have no other ideas for what to do. It's fallen pretty far from what it was, but it doesn't mean it's useless nowadays. Then next we have the Exotic Cypher, in case you're willing to grab this to farm out some armors, or I believe turn this into the Monument of Lost Lights to just get access to some old weapons no longer available. Going over our strange offers for our currencies, he has an Ascendant Shard for 23 exchange coins, and then the usual variety of Enhancement Cores, Glimmer, and Vanguard Engrams, just to cover that note. For the main bit of gear right here, we have the usual exotic engram. Hawkmoon this time rolled with surplus, but then getting into some of our exotic weapons, we have the Sweet Business, which if you're looking for the meme of the effectiveness gun, it is Sweet Business. Essentially a Gatling gun that it fires when low spun, but it will spin up to a higher fire rate. It has an incredibly large magazine compared to most other... That is actually deeply wrong. That says 45. It's actually 150 if I recall. But aside from that, it has increased accuracy when firing from the hip compared to normal weapons. As well, picking up special or heavy ammo will immediately reload the weapon. So that is a very good thing in case you're just roaming about and shooting. At the same time, its main perk of Business Time gets sustained range and fire rate when, keeping firing basically Gatling gun effect, and its catalyst makes it so that it has reduced flinch when taking impacts. For some reason, they haven't updated this gun because it also has a nifty perk where every, I think 15 rounds or so, or just every however many bullets you shoot, a random shot gets replaced with an explosive round, and at the same time, when you are fully spun up, it does more and more explosive rounds. There's an Actium War Rig, and it is a super fun exotic just to go around and shred and send bullets. Aside from that, that is pretty much the whole of Sweet Business. Next is the Sunshot. Once buffed, it was made the king of ad clearing, as the weapon fires an explosive round that highlights targets, air quotes, that take damage, aka they're a little bit sparkly. But then its main perk of Sunblast makes it so that defeating targets with Sunshot explode in solar energy, scorching anything nearby. This explosion was buffed not too long ago, and it was made incredibly potent, not to mention spreading Scorch, feeding into Solar 3.0s. Next thing you know, every single Solar build for a season, I believe it was Season of the Witch, Sunshot was the main thing to acquire and run for practically anything that was Destiny related. And the perk Catalyst it gives you is essentially range and stability, if you are so interested in that Catalyst in the future. Next is the Thunder Lord, which, fresh with this season, a few changes. Its final blows generate lightning strikes that stun overload champions. The lightning strikes also grant a stack of bolt charge. Its main perk, though, is lightning rounds, where the longer is fired, the faster it fires, and it becomes more accurate the longer the trigger is held, while continuous lightning strikes generate the overload stunning lightning strikes more often. It also comes with armor-penetrating rounds, as well as Freeing Frenzy for basically being a either sustained damage gun or an effective ad-clear gun with quicker reloads. The Catalyst itself makes it so that causing a lightning strike with this weapon will partially reload the magazine from reserves, which means this, compared with Actium War Rig, means this practically can fire until you run out of bullets to fire. Compared with a few bolt charge builds from the seasonal artifact, this is quite spicy nowadays and would definitely recommend it to anyone looking to build into the artifact or the new bolt charge mechanic. Then from that point, for variety weapons, we have the Farewell, a sidearm from Season of the Splicer, which I forget if it was restored back with last season of Revenant, but it's a pretty simple kinetic lightweight frame sidearm. The Nightshade is a strand lightweight frame pulse rifle that was brought back in Season of the Witch. It's basically just a pulse rifle, there isn't anything exactly spectacular about it. Arsenic Bite from Season 11 is an arc lightweight frame bow, which is one of those ones that is nifty, but it's not exactly something to die over, if that makes sense. The Decide is a rapid-fire frame void shotgun, which, in a similar state with something like a roll like this, it can be quite nifty, but compared to other weapons of its type that are just current and updated, it really is outshined. Next, a sword, the Negative Space, basically just nothing else to say about it, because any sword that's not the class swords or an exotic sword is a sword to be left behind, in almost every case, with a few exceptions. Moving on though, Sales Spy Pitch Glass is an interesting one, especially with Volt Shot, because in a nifty bit of learnage, that's not the right word, but in a quick lesson to you all, Volt Shot damage is affected by what applies them. The Volt Shot that comes from, say, the Ikelos SMG will do far less damage than the Volt Shot applied by this linear fusion rifle. So if you're looking for some nifty elemental damage buffs, this could be an option for you if your heavy slot is not locked down, looking in particularly just an elemental damage build. Just a little bit of, a little lesson, a little top tip. That's a little tip for you. There you go. And lastly, as always, we have the classic class swords. With the bug becoming a feature, it is almost more relevant to visit this and collect them for various classes in case you're looking for a fun sword to throw on variety characters. And wrapping it all up, we have the old 7 Seraph Blade back from Season of the Season of the Warmind? I forget what Season 10 was called suddenly out of my head. But the season where Fellwinter, Warminds, everything just before Season of Arrivals. And with that, that is the end of the Xur reset update for his exotic stock. I hope this was informative and my tutelage was at least helpful in case you are new returning to Destiny or otherwise just not knowing of the stuff that Xur has for sale. With that, I will see you in the next video.